This is Russell Brand in the center, and on the right is Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're about to talk about Donald Trump's assassination attempt. So let's give this a listen. It's bound to be psychotic. And while we do, we're going to play some Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Should just be in the background. Won't bother you too much. You never played before. All right, let's listen.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is here and will be joining us live. We are going to have a real COVID showdown. Would you like to join us? You look exceptional today.
She doesn't look exceptional any day.
What an amazing dress. You look phenomenal. Sit down. Is there a microphone available?
How are you doing? By the way, Marjorie is definitely one of the few people in the House who is advocating for the vaccine injured, held unauthorized hearings, probably not to the,
Oh, God, she's advocating for the vaccine injured, quote unquote. Please.
the joy of the chairman of the committee, but she's showing some real courage as well. She's one of those individuals.
One of my
She's not showing courage. She's acting like a scumbag, but okay.
favorite bits, Ron, was when Marjorie took on Anthony Fauci and went, "Look at this picture of a dog, you bastard! I could take a shit on you." You know, she got...
Yeah, I remember some of that. Yeah, that was Marjorie Taylor Greene just acting like a straight scumbag. I don't know why he's, like, proud of that.
very, very enthusiastic and on the front foot with Anthony Fauci. And would
Like, I would be embarrassed by that. Fauci didn't do anything to anybody. It is truly an embarrassment and sad that these people seem to think it's okay and even virtuous to demonize an innocent dude who didn't do shit.
just yesterday we were talking about that, weren't we, Marjorie?
Yes, absolutely.
And we said that, like, that in outside of that context, that would have been regarded as like sort of a powerful takedown of the patriarchy. But because Marjorie isn't posited in that cultural position, those dynamics were not remarked upon. Because surely Marjorie is an extremely powerful woman. There is no question.
I mean, it's just scumbag behavior. It would be viewed as sticking it to the patriarchy if Tony Fauci was fighting for the patriarchy or something, or oppressing women or whatever. Dude was trying to deal with a global pandemic. What the hell is happening?
About that, is there?
Well, she pays the price, so she's vilified for telling the truth. That's what happens in our society.
But she's not telling the truth. She's just being a scumbag.
And that's why so very few people do it. That's why doctors adhered to these protocols, because they saw their colleagues being destroyed if they actually spoke out.
Marjorie, it seems to me that you have no trouble with the bravery required to speak your mind. In fact, if anything, a little less bravery would sometimes be beneficial.
So.
Do you recognize where this type of discourse is likely to lead and the kind of forces that you're going to have to continue to confront? Because before you got here, me and Ron were talking about the necessity...
It gets Ron and I, but okay.
Or perhaps a possibility of demonopolizing and breaking down the kind of pharmaceutical companies that have practiced these various hypocrisies and corruptions and indeed, wow, I mean, I don't know how far to go with the words, but, you know, we were talking about like the VARS events.
Dude, is this guy ever going to stop talking?
The number of excess deaths. We're talking about a good many things. What type of reckoning is required, and how likely is it that when it comes to criminal proceedings and genuine consequences for people like Fauci, that will be pursued? And how far are you willing to pursue it? Because Ron's actually prepared to pursue it quite aggressively, it seems.
Okay, did he say literally anything in that entire tirade he just went on? I think I zoned out after the third word because it seemed so meaningless to me.
Well,
Dude, there was just like silence for like 20 minutes.
we've worked together, the senator and I, because, well, you know, I'm one of those
See, this is one of those cases where it's not and I, it's me and the senator. She's using it wrong. Oh my God, dude. She's so stupid.
That will be pursued. And how far are you willing to pursue it? Because Ron's actually prepared to pursue it quite aggressively, it seems.
Well, we've worked together, the senator and I, because, well, you know, I'm one of those unvaxxed people. I just didn't buy into the whole lie that was...
Well, that doesn't surprise me, that she's like uninformed on this whole subject. I would be surprised if she were vaccinated, truthfully. Oh God, Ooh, I'm getting messed up over here.
I felt sold to us from the medical industrial complex. But really, to break that system, we have to look deeper into why so many members of Congress and elected officials are basically beholden to, you know, the different big pharma companies.
Look, congressmen are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're like invested in all kinds of different companies. They're invested in, the military industrial complex. Look, do you hate Lockheed Martin? Are you invested in Lockheed Martin by chance? Is Marjorie Taylor Greene invested in tobacco companies or literally anything at all? Because that's the same degree of investment as any other congressman. Very few congressmen are invested in individual stocks, or doing like individual stock trades. And the people that are doing that, primarily, that's like Nancy Pelosi and her husband, Paul Pelosi, who I believe runs Paul Pelosi runs the New York Stock Exchange or something? I don't remember. Dude, what the hell am I doing right now? I'm so lost. Anyway, the point is that most congressmen are just invested in like index stocks, and that's what she's talking about. But some are invested in individual stocks, and I think that's wrong. They shouldn't be allowed to be invested in individual stocks. What are you talking about? Invested in like big pharma or whatever? Give it a rest.
And that's because they're funded by them. And it's that shouldn't hold elected officials in place. But when you have many people receiving their donations that fill their campaign coffers from big companies like Pfizer and Moderna and so forth.
This is such bullshit, dude. She is the biggest conspiracy theorist alive, and it's seriously sickening.
Then it muzzles them in ways it shouldn't, right? And luckily, approximately over 95% of my donations are small dollar donations.
That's because nobody wants to work with a scumbag.
The only people I work for are the people that voted for me in my district, and the American people. And so that's very freeing for someone like me. I don't have to worry about having money in my campaign to get reelected because I've had to depend on the lobbyists in Washington.
Actually, she doesn't have to worry about that because her district is a totally safe district. She doesn't have to worry about campaigning at all, pretty much. Quick interjection, this won't take long, I promise. I'd appreciate it if you watched to the end of the video, or at least a couple extra seconds, because YouTube bases its algorithm off of watch time. The more watch time a video has, the further the video will go. Also, take a look at my website, owenmorgan.com. I'm selling my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, 400 pages, and my second book, 100 Questions for Jehovah's Witnesses, which is about 80 pages. And you can find them both there on the website. Audio form, ebook form, whatever. It's about my experiences within the religion and the history of the religion generally. The 100 questions are intended to challenge a religious leader, so I'd appreciate it if you give it a read. Okay, back to the video.
Or the big industries that rely on government contracts or rely on government officials and unelected bureaucrats making decisions in order to empower them. And I think that's extremely important, and that's a good conversation to have.
Let me quick add, because there's no doubt about there's a financial component of this, but I think even more at play here is the fact that whether it's doctors, whether it's members of Congress who have always pushed, for example, childhood vaccines, and they did videos on the, get vaxxed. Listen, I support Operation Warp Speed. I wanted to end this pandemic. If there would have been...
He is so full of shit, dude. This guy truly disgusts me. The things that he says and does, the things that he, advocates and everything, it's just wrong.
...a vaccine that would have worked, I'd have been happy to have it and support it. But again, I talked to Michael Eden, so the fact that people have recommended this or pushed it or mandated it, they don't want to admit.
Nobody mandated the vaccine. You know what they mandated? At no point was the vaccine ever mandated. There's a testing mandate. And if you wanted to be exempted from the testing mandate, if you want to be exempted from taking a daily test or a weekly test or whatever, you could get vaccinated if you chose. Nobody ever forced anybody to get a vaccine. Never happened. I am so lost. What the hell am I supposed to be doing?
That what they recommended, pushed, or mandated could have killed somebody, might have permanently disabled them. So they will never admit they're wrong. The body count is
Who is they?
Way too high. And from my standpoint, and now the American public, quite honestly, anybody who got vaccinated, they don't want to face the reality that maybe they've got a ticking time bomb. I hate to say that.
A ticking time bomb. What ticking time bomb do I have in me that's going to explode? I got 4 vaccines or something. What should I be worried about exactly?
Okay? Everybody wants to just forget it and move on, but we can't because they want to use this mRNA platform for other things. And in the end, you have to expose the truth to prevent further harm.
It seems that
Dude, this is just sad. To be fair, Biden mandated it for federal employees, or am I wrong on that? Did he? I don't believe so. No, it was a testing mandate. It was never mandated, to my knowledge, by anybody. Biden did mandate that companies larger than a certain size must require vaccinations or test people daily or weekly, I think. That's as far as it went.
you are describing a lack of the real kind of virtue and systems of culpability that are required in
Culpability.
the event of a crisis like this. When you said, Marjorie, that 95% of your donations come from small donors, isn't that precisely the type of system that ought to be legislated and mandated rather than the way you described it? It seemed like it was kind of optional, that if you wanted, you could accept funding from all sorts of groups and PACs and lobbyists and donors. As long as those systems remain in place, aren't we vulnerable to, if not exactly the corruption that we've just experienced, variations of it?
I absolutely think so. And it's a shame. It shouldn't be that way. You know, we're all elected by the people, not by a certain industry or organization or any sort of group, right? We're elected by individual people that cast their individual votes.
Yeah, okay, but organizations and corporations and whatever can pay for, you know, ads that encourage people to vote a certain way. So
which is extremely important. So the people at large really should be the people that we're serving their interests, their beliefs, their businesses, and and their families. And that's what's important, but that's not how Washington, D.C. works. Washington, D.C. is run by the elites and the powerful. And when we
I agree.
talk about patriarchy, that's why I loved talking about.
By the way, this is populist language. Talking about the patriarchy, she's so stupid. Populist language was used a lot by Hitler. This is how he got into the position that he got into in the first place. This is the nature of nationalism, effectively. Appealing to people and blaming all of your problems on another group. Now, obviously, rich elites they do hold a disproportionate sway over our political system and over society. That's true. That's accurate. But demonizing them and saying that, like, we need to kill them or we need to blah, 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 all that stuff is what Hitler did. Like, that's how Hitler rose to fame, as if he wasn't an elite himself, as if he didn't know all of the elites across Europe. The people who talk about elites like this are elites, and they're simply doing it to gain the popular support of the people. That's it. Anyway, Bernie Sanders actually used this language too, this this populist language, and I was all for it when Bernie Sanders was saying it, because I agree. Yeah, there's a problem with the rich doing what they do. I forget what it is. Like, if corporations want a bill passed, it passes 70% of the time. If the people want a bill passed, it's like less than 5% or something. I don't remember what the numbers are, but 90% of statistics are made up also. So there's that one. But the point is that elites are in control of things disproportionately, more than they should be. But when you hear populist language, you should be skeptical about the motives of the person saying it. They're not always nefarious, but they are more often than they should be.
That with you.
I don't like talking to you. Do you know that I've got to interrupt you? Not because I don't enjoy talking to you. You're staying there if you will permit that to be the case.
Sure, I'd
but
love
Ron
to.
Johnson's got to go. Ron, did you know that you're supposed to be somewhere else?
I do. Insane schedule when you're kind of the U.S. Senator host for the state. But
You're
listen,
actually important politicians.
Listen, it is.
You can't sit here on a banquette pretending that this country doesn't need governing, because it does.
It is a pleasure being interviewed by you. I'd like to do it for a longer format even, and it's a pleasure being with Marjorie Greene. These are two individuals with real courage. They've helped save lives because of their courage. So God bless all of you, and I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much,
You as
Senator.
well,
Thank you for
Senator.
your time, and thank you for making me so welcome in your beautiful state, the beautiful state of Wisconsin.
Thank
Hey,
you.
guess what? If you want to be an awake, bye-bye, Senator. It was lovely to meet you. Take care.
OMFG, he is absolutely terrible.
See you later. He's lovely, isn't he?
He's great.
He's trying his
love
hardest,
working
doing his
with
best.
He is not great. He's a colossal scumbag.
Senator Johnson.
We could put on some locals promo if we want to. Or I could just carry wide because you want to repo Marjorie. Marjorie, what we're going to do now, if you would choose to, is you could sit in this area here, and we can put on a promotional artifact for locals. Do you know which button it's on?
Oh my God, is he shouting stuff out again? By the way, check out my book, owenmorgan.com. All right, let's keep listening.
Guys, you're going to play it in. Hey, you lot, do you know what locals is yet? Locals is our subscriber community.
Okay, we're skipping past this stupid shit. All right. Let's continue.
Me questions directly, whatever you want. I'll answer you. I'll answer you plainly and clearly with whatever you want. Because this is one of the things I like about you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You full-on actual person. You actual real-life person. Not.
Okay. Well, I didn't doubt it before, but now that he's bringing it up, I'm starting to wonder.
Talking like proper politicians. Right? Yeah. Mate, so yesterday, like, we were just having that chat with Senator Ron Johnson. Then you started talking about the patriarchy again, and you seem to be framing the patriarchy in a slightly different way than we're used to hearing of it described within maybe the neoliberal establishment, but also within, I suppose you'd have to say, legitimate feminist activist groups. Can you tell us what you mean when you say that?
Oh, my God, dude.
Well, you know, it's really funny, Russell. I feel like it's almost meant to be that we're having this conversation. Because just a couple weeks ago, I was at home, and I was doing some writing. I always do writing to get my thoughts out, just journaling. And I was actually thinking about the patriarchy.
Oh, we got a writer over here.
And how the patriarchy has been framed for many, millions and millions of young women and teenage girls. And I was thinking, the patriarchy is actually something truly different than how it's been framed and how these young women think.
You were writing about this in your journal.
Mm-hmm. And I could not believe it when you brought it up yesterday, because I was actually writing what we said.
I don't believe that they have any idea what the patriarchy is, either of these two people. The patriarchy is a patriarchal society is one in which men kind of control the political system to a great degree. Women weren't allowed to vote until 1920 or something. They weren't allowed to have a credit card or a home loan or in anything until the 70s. Not even that long ago. We live in a patriarchal society, of course. Is it not obvious? They really not know what that means?
Right. I felt so awkward saying it on here because I was like, am I allowed to say this?
Am I allowed to say what?
Patriarchy is actually something truly different than how it's been framed and how these young women think.
You were writing about this in your journal.
Mm-hmm. And I could not believe it when you brought it up yesterday, because I was actually writing what.
So she thinks she's not allowed to say the word patriarchy? Is that what she's saying right now?
We said, out loud, and I felt so awkward saying it on here because I was like, am I allowed to say this on Rumble? But
you can't say patriarchy on Rumble? What?
The whole term, the patriarchy.
She said a swear word. Did you guys hear that? She said the fuck word. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh boy, God's not going to be happy when she visits him later.
Patriarchy, which is freeing to be able to say, needs to be redefined. And it's important to do that because I feel like there are millions of young women.
Okay, she is a vile human being, Marjorie Taylor Greene is. She showed, all right, Hunter Biden's pictures of him sleeping with somebody surfaced, like naked pictures of Hunter Biden surfaced. And Marjorie Taylor Greene brought them to Congress and put them in the official congressional record by showing them publicly, like on TV and in chambers and everything. That is some vile shit right there. Does it get more fucking disgusting than that? I don't know of a lower thing that you can do than to take somebody's like naked pictures and spread them all over everything. So I don't know what she's talking about here with the patriarchy or whatever. I have no clue. But I guarantee you that it's some vile shit that she's about to try to justify or whatever. Guaranteed.
That have been misled about what it means to be a woman, about what they view as something that's against them, maybe how they've been hurt possibly by men in their lives. But I think the patriarchy is so much different than how they've been taught.
When AOC first became a star, I really liked AOC because I thought she used to be a waitress, now she's in Congress. This is exactly the kind of thing we want, ordinary people rising up from working class jobs. But when I see you and her having that conversation, I thought that she was maybe a little bit rude. And I wonder, do you think that people, when they're inside the political establishment, get co-opted?
She was a little rude. AOC was a little rude. Oops, I didn't mean to have this on, like, the thing. Do you think maybe AOC was, like, a little rude because of how absolutely f***ing vile this person is? That's maybe not even the worst thing, surprisingly, that Marjorie Taylor Greene has done. I mean, that's bad, but she's done worse. God, let me think about some of the things that she's done. Oh, God. Well, she's a QAnoner, for one thing. She accused Jews of having this satellite thing that could cause wildfires from space. Jews, aka Jewish space lasers. I'm sure somebody wrote up some absolutely vile shit that she's done, right? 11 times Marjorie Taylor Greene was the worst. How Marjorie Taylor Greene made our jaws drop. For connoisseurs of outrageous right-wing political rhetoric, U.S. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the gift that keeps on giving. Space lasers, political murders, and Muslims taking over. Yep, I remember that. The Jewish space laser thing. Don't hang Hate America flags. Whatever. February 2021, early in her term, Greene endorsed legislation that would ban the display of pride flags and what she called Hate America flags at U.S. embassies. Wow, this is super free speech, huh? President Biden's State Department has already raised a flag over our embassies that doesn't represent the vast majority of Americans, she said in a press release, apparently meaning the pride flag. She also said the Black Lives Matter flag represents a group who wants to erase our history and bring mass destruction to our country through communism. The legislation has gone nowhere, of course. Equality Act will destroy God's creation. Equality Act. She went on several unhinged rants against the proposed Equality Act, which would outlaw anti-LGBT discrimination nationally. Okay, yeah, a lot of this is bad, and of course right here, anti-trans trolling. I still think maybe the worst thing that she's done is take Hunter Biden, just some guy's naked pictures, and submit them into the public record and show them on national TV. I don't believe that it gets lower than that, honestly. I've said that before, like Alex Jones lying about the Sandy Hook families when he knew for a fact that they were innocent. That's pretty low. I've said that before. Does it get lower? I think this might be the lowest somebody can go. February 2021, she trolled a fellow representative, Illinois Democrat Marie Newman, whose office is across the hall from hers. Newman had hung up a trans flag. Had hung up a transgender outside of her office in support of her trans daughter. Greene responded by putting up a sign reading, "There are two genders, male and female. Trust the science." She also tweeted a denunciation of Newman for supporting the Equality Act, saying once again, the act would destroy women's rights and religious freedoms. She is just vile. Like, I don't know of anybody that is lower than Marjorie Taylor Greene. Claims that schools are teaching racism and promoting sex. Trans people have unnatural fantasies, she says. The gazpacho police. Oh, I remember that. Yeah. She made an infamous gaffe while accusing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi of Nazi-like tactics after the Capitol Police conducted a routine security check of a colleague's office. Appearing on the right-wing One America News, Greene referred to Pelosi's gazpacho police. That was so stupid. Oh, she refers to Democrats as a party of pedophilia. Yep. Extinction of straight people. Guess she worries about that. So, oh, yes. Oh, my God. I remember this. Monkeypox. Monkeypox was a burgeoning pandemic. It was really just an epidemic that people were worried about immediately after COVID. And people like Marjorie Taylor Greene claimed that it was being spread exclusively by the LGBT community. And they were like, what to say they? I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene and Romana Didulo, the Queen of Canada, QAnon Queen or whatever, and people like that, claiming that they were praying for this to take out gay people because that's what God wants. This is God's plan. He's trying to take out gay people with monkeypox. It was just disgusting shit, dude. Disgusting shit. These people are as vile as they come, in my opinion.
Adopted and captured by sort of different ideologies. Would there be a way where someone like you and AOC could find a common ground, conviviality, and even a kind of sisterhood? Or do you think that the positions are too charged and opposed? Do you see any solidarity with her? And do you think that she has qualities, or do you feel sort of personally hurt by it, and that she represents things that you find repellent?
No, actually, AOC
Repellent.
who used to be a progressive, I don't think she's a progressive anymore. I think she's abandoned her people that elected her. She's abandoned her views. Now she's basically a member of the Democrat establishment.
Okay.
She fully supports the 82-year-old white man that they're still propping up as their candidate for president. So AOC in particular, she's a tough example for me to use.
This is just like pure unadulterated hypocrisy. AOC is supporting the only Democratic candidate that has any shot right now. He's the nominee, or he's going to be if he isn't already. Yes, of course she's going to support the Democratic nominee. That's the correct thing to do. Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to support Trump. And you know what? She would almost certainly, I just about guarantee it, support any other Republican candidate if they were running instead of Donald Trump. Like if Trump died or something. I'm sure she would support the next guy too, because that's the politically intelligent thing to do. So, like, what is she even complaining about here? And by the way, Trump and Biden could have gone to high school together if Donald Trump wasn't in a segregated high school. Well, they probably both were, honestly. Anyway, the point is that this is just pure unadulterated hypocrisy.
But actually, some of my votes align with progressives. We oftentimes, you'll see someone like me voting with Ilhan Omar or some of the members of the progressives, and we should, right? This isn't uncommon. Things like prison reform, issues like foreign wars.
Marjorie Taylor Greene gives a shit about prison reform? No, she does not. She gives a shit about the January 6th people. That is it. That's the only reason she brings up prison reform. I actually have a clip about this. Let me find it. Is this the one?
Joe Biden, you're not a president. You're a piece of shit.
Nope, wrong clip. My mistake. I was thinking of this one. Louis Gohmert on the left, congressman for, 20 years or something. We voted the dude out. That's a W. We got him out of Congress. Louis Gohmert was one of the worst people in Congress. Anyway. Louis Gohmert and Marjorie Taylor Greene showed up at like the January 6th prisons or whatever, the people where people are kept, and started complaining about the conditions as if they ever gave a shit before.
To match them. We have been denied the ability to go back and have a tour. We've been denied even a phone call and an answer back. So that's why we're here today at her office.
What, you think you're like entitled to talk to the warden of a prison? God, get over yourself.
To say you need to give us a visit. You owe this to all of the people that we represent across the country. And
nobody owes you shit, Marge.
And then this city needs cleaned up. There's homeless people all over the city. Crime is out of control, and it has a jail that is clearly a dangerous place.
It's clearly a dangerous place? Why is that clear? I haven't seen any indication of that. What are you talking about? Did somebody die in there or something? The answer is no.
Place for people to be because they're dying last week, and then these pretrial January 6th defendants have been held months on end, being abused as political prisoners of war.
If they're prisoners of war, then that means she believes that they are their own separate, distinct country, and that they committed treason against the U.S. government, and the punishment for treason is execution. I'm just saying. Do you really want to go down this road?
Not only federal judges, prosecutors of the Department of Justice, but also the D.C. jail where Kathleen Landerkin is probably still the deputy warden, and she says herself how much she hates Republicans, hates Trump, and hates the people that are...
Really? The warden says she hates Trump and Republicans? She have any proof for this? Of course not. And either way, even if she did, who gives a shit? She has a right to her own political opinions. Output, the jail is dangerous because the Gen 6ers are there, yeah. She's an embarrassment. These people are embarrassments. The point is that Marjorie Taylor Greene never gave a shit about prison reform. Never. She suddenly gives a shit because it's the January 6th people.
Issues that affect real Americans. These are places that, yes, you'll see the far left and the far right come together sort of in that circle fashion, and we'll have
Wait, is she calling herself far right?
those votes. But I'll tell you what stops us from coming together and actually working together for real meaningful legislative changes. Politics is a business. And this is something that I fully understand coming from the business world. It is literally built on creating hate between the two parties, which fails the people. So they use
I agree with that.
it to make political ads. They use it for fundraising. They use it for consultants to make a ton of money. I, for one, as a Republican member of Congress, I am used in literally every single Democrat's ads for fundraising.
Literally every single one? That sounds a little hyperbolic to me, but okay. That's because you're a colossal scumbag. That's because your behavior is absolutely vile. Seriously. I don't think that it gets any lower than Marjorie Taylor Greene in politics, honestly. I'm trying to think of an example. She said that, who was it? It was not Ilhan Omar. She called her like a Muslim terrorist or something, but it was Rashida Tlaib. She's Palestinian. And she said that she's holding up the flag, because she has a Palestinian flag there, you know, holding up the flag of like an enemy nation, and she's a traitor and all kinds of shit. Like, oh my God, dude. That is disgusting. She's a Nazi, and she's a white supremacist. Truly disgusting stuff. I mean, tell me what you think about her in the comments. This is just like terrible.